Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into one of the most vital and honestly most misunderstood roles in all of tech, site reliability engineering, or SRE.
So let's just get right to it. When I say SRE, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of people, it's that image of someone heroically silencing a pager at 3 in the morning, right? And look, that happens, but it's actually the least desirable part of the job. So what does an SRE really do all day?
Well, that stereotype is the heroic firefighter, always reacting to the latest crisis. But the reality is much more like being a strategic architect. You see, a great SRE's goal isn't to get really good at fighting fires. Their goal is to design a building that's fireproof from the very beginning.
To really wrap your head around the role, you have to stop thinking of it as just one job. It's not. It's much better to think of an SRE's day as constantly switching between different modes of work, and each mode requires a totally different mindset and a different set of skills.
So let's look at these modes. You've got builder mode, where SREs are hands-on, actually writing code. That experience then feeds directly into architecture mode, where they can influence new designs to be more reliable from the start. Of course, that requires collaboration with a ton of other teams, and all of that is guided by planning and management. But maybe the most important one on this list is recovery and self-care, because let's be real, you can't build a resilient system with a totally burned-out team. It's this constant dynamic dance between all these mindsets. Okay. To truly get to the heart of the SRE philosophy, you have to understand its #1 sworn enemy, toil. Grasping this one concept is the absolute key to understanding the why behind pretty much everything an SRE does. So what exactly is toil? It's not just, boring work. In the SRE world, it has a very precise definition. We're talking about work that is manual, repetitive, and totally automatable. It's tactical. It offers no lasting value, and this is the real kicker, it scales linearly. That means if your user base grows 10 times, the amount of this manual work also grows 10 times. That is the signature of toil.
And SREs are on a mission to destroy it for 3 main reasons. First, aesthetics. To an engineer, toil is just ugly. It's an inefficient, inelegant design. Second, money. It is incredibly expensive to pay highly skilled engineers to do work that a script could do for free. And finally, there's the human cost. A job that's drowning in toil is a direct path to burnout, low morale, and people leaving.
But here's where things get really fascinating. There's a twist. You can never truly eliminate toil. SREs think about this almost like it's a law of physics, the conservation of toil.
And the core idea is exactly what it sounds like. Just like energy, toil cannot be created or destroyed. The best you can ever do is transform it into something else.
So what does that transformation actually look like? Well, imagine you automate a super tedious manual process. The toil of doing that task by hand is gone, sure, but you've just transformed it into a brand new kind of work. The toil of building, maintaining, and debugging the very automation you just created. Or here's another classic. You build a self-service tool so your team doesn't have to handle manual requests. You haven't destroyed the toil, you've just moved it. You took a huge amount of toil from a few people on your team and distributed it as a tiny little bit of toil across every single user of your new tool. The total amount stays the same. The SRE's job is to make that trade-off consciously and intelligently.
This entire battle against toil leads us directly to what is arguably the most critical SRE practice of all, a structured, disciplined process for learning from failure.
The core insight here is that language literally shapes our actions. The specific words we choose to use after something breaks, say after a big outage, those words determine whether we actually learn anything from it, or if we're just dooming ourselves to repeat the same mistake. And right here is the most important linguistic shift you can make. It's moving away from talking about root cause and instead talking about contributing factors. Root cause is a trap. It implies there was one single mistake, which encourages you to find one thing or one person to blame, and then just stop looking. But contributing factors? That phrase forces you to acknowledge that complex systems fail in complex ways, and it pushes you to find real, systemic solutions.
This whole shift away from blame becomes official in a core SRE ritual, the Blameless Post-Incident Review, or PIR. And yeah, the name says it all. The #1 rule is that learning is the goal, not blame.
To really get what a PIR is, it helps to first talk about what it is not. It is not a blame game. It is not a hunt for a single root cause. It is not just another meeting to create a long to-do list.
And it is definitely not some document you write once and then just forget about in a shared drive somewhere.
The actual process is incredibly disciplined. It starts by building a detailed, objective timeline of events. No opinions, just the facts. Then, with a neutral facilitator, the whole group walks through that timeline together to build a shared understanding. The goal is for everyone to see the event from all sides, and it's only after that shared context is built that the group can move on to generating real systemic learnings, not just a simple list of fixes.
And that brings our whole journey full circle. We've gone from the many different modes of an SRE through their philosophical war against toil, and we've ended up at this core practice of blameless learning. It's the complete transformation from being a reactive firefighter to becoming a strategic, systemic learner.
And this leaves us with one last, crucial thought. This SRE mindset, it isn't just for engineers, it's a powerful framework for anyone building anything complex. So ask yourself this: when things break, is your team's first instinct to ask, who did this? Or what can we learn from this? The answer reveals everything about your ability to build not just more resilient systems, but more resilient cultures.